Hi, thanks for joining me for another video at My Little Pretty Crafts. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video, and if you like it, give it a big thumbs up so YouTube knows that you'd like to see more. Today we're going to be doing a Valentine with the Would You Be Mine Stampin' Up set from the New Occasions catalog, so let's head over to the stamp table. So here is our card for today. This features our Would You Be Mine stamp set, which has so many fun little images and sentiments with this little lumberjack and the trees, a lot of two-step stamping. And I think this would make a really nice Valentine to give to someone. So we're going to be starting with a crumb cake note card, and I have that right here. And what I'm going to do, since we're going to be stamping off the edge, is put down some masking tape. This is Post-it tape, and this will keep us from stamping over onto the back of the card and keep our card base from moving around too much. So I'm going to be stamping this little wood piece in crumb cake ink so that we have a tone-on-tone effect. And we're just going to stamp kind of haphazardly, no real rhyme or reason, but we want to fill in that background with these really cute little wood slabs. And you can rotate the stamp so that it doesn't look like a uniform pattern, or you can do uniform if you like. It's totally up to you. And I like to go off the edge of the card, even if you're just stamping just a little bit of that wood grain pattern. I think it helps to fill in some of those gaps and looks a little bit better to me, to my eye anyway. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and set this aside. So I'm going to be using a Stampin' Right marker. I recommend, since this is a one-layer card, not using an alcohol marker because that might bleed through to the other side. So what we're going to do is just color in these little hearts here on each of the wood blocks. And this is, you know, kind of a rustic, not perfect design anyway, so don't worry too much if you go outside the lines, as long as you end up with a heart shape that you like. Okay, so now that we've colored all of those in, we're going to move on to... So here I've taken a piece of crumb cake cardstock and I ran it through my Big Shot with the wood embossing folder. And then I used one of the heart framelits dies to cut out a heart here. And that's going to be kind of the base for our little banner and sentiment. And what I'm going to do now is take the crumb cake ink. I'm actually going to move this. We're done with the card base for right now. So we'll set this aside for a second. I'm going to bring in some craft sheet and my blending tool and the crumb cake ink. And I'm just going to blend in right around the edges just to define the edges a bit. That texture really picks up the ink and adds a lot more dimension than if you just use the heart by itself. And you can go lighter or darker, it's all up to you. Okay, that looks good. And now we're going to stamp our sentiment. I'll leave the blending things out because we are going to add a little bit of color to our sentiment. So here I have another scrap of crumb cake and the sentiment, Would You Be Mine? And what I like to do, since this is going to be a little bit of a banner, is with clear stamps, you can manipulate them to give them a little bit of curve. So that's what I've done here. I've just kind of curved it up a little bit so that it's not just straight across. I think it'll add a little more interest to the card. Now I'm going to take some early espresso ink. I tried this also with crumb cake and I think it just has a little bit more definition with the early espresso. And I'm just going to stamp that down. And since this is a rustic card, I'm going to hand cut the banner here. Now you could use a die to cut this out, but I kind of wanted a little bit more of a freehand look. And you're going to want to leave a little bit of a border because we will be sponging some ink onto the edges. Okay, so now that I've trimmed that out, I can cut my little flagged ends. And again, for this particular project, I'm really not looking for it to be perfect. I kind of want it to look maybe even a little wonky. Oop. Okay. I think that's sufficiently wonky. Okay, very technical term. So now we're going to take the crumb cake ink and really just kind of brush it along the edge. You could use the sponges that Stampin' Up! Carries for this. I just really like these blending tools. I think it keeps my fingers a little bit cleaner, although you wouldn't know since they're covered in ink anyway. For the edges, it might be easier to bring it down to your craft sheet. And again, you can add as much or as little ink as you like. Very cute. Okay. So now that we have our banner done, I'm going to adhere some dimensionals to the back. And I'm going to leave the ends without a dimensional because those are going to hang off the edge of the heart. So now I have my dimensionals applied to the back, and I'll just set that right across the center of the heart. Very cute. This would be cute even on a Whisper White card base, just plain as it is, but I think it'll look really nice here as well. So we'll bring our card base back in. I think you could leave it like this. On the sample I did, I added some red confetti hearts, which I think I'll do again. This is our Confetti Hearts Punch, new with the Occasions catalog, and a scrap of real red. So it gives you all of this fun confetti, which is great for shaker cards or adhering onto your project, just a little heart here or there. I will take some Tombow. I just want to add a couple, not too many. I like this punch because it gives you 3 different sizes of hearts, so you can adhere on some of these teeny tiny ones. Okay. So now that we have that, I think I'm going to actually add a few dimensionals to the back of this so it pops up even further. I think that'll add a nice touch since this is a special Valentine's card. And so you'll see I have all of my little bits and pieces left over from this dimensional pack. I definitely don't throw these away. I use them all. And I will cut, now that I've decided to pop this up, a couple of little pieces of dimensional to add on to those flagged ends because they're already popped up and I don't want that part of the card to sag. Okay, now that we have our dimensionals all ready to go, we'll go ahead and adhere this down to the card front. And I think just to give those hearts a little bit of pop, I'm going to use some glossy accents, or you could use Crystal Effects. Glossy accents for me is a bit thicker and I think I get a little bit more control and dimension. So we'll add some glossy accents to the hearts. So So I will set that aside to dry. This is the card. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video and give it a big thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave that down below. And if you're interested in any of these products, they will be linked here as of January 6th. Thank you so much. See you next time.